On this hunt, I'm searching for an iconic American animal that abounds in contradictions. Just ask around and people will tell you that the antelope or American pronghorn is both rare and everywhere. It's an easy quarry and a tough one. It tastes like trash and it tastes like heaven. But if there's one thing that everyone agrees on, it's that this critter is one of a kind. Out here on the plains, nothing comes close. I'm Steven Ranella. To me, hunting isn't only about the pursuit of an animal. It's about who we are and what we're made of. I live to hunt and hunt to live. I am a meat eater. On this hunt, I'm going after antelope out on the Great Plains of Wyoming. I have never been here before. I don't have any friends or relatives that ever hunted here before. I'm just gonna figure it out as I go along. When you come into a place like this, I come in with a bunch of water because if it rains out here and the ground turns to gumbo, you can get easily stuck back here for a couple days if you come way back in. Once I get it set up like this, I'm ready to go. I prefer to never move the truck. I like to hunt on foot. I like to walk around. I sleep better at night if I walk around. I see more, better, cooler stuff. I like to walk hunt. First afternoon of the hunt, and my plan is to do nothing but glass. I just want to see what and who is around and what it's up to. Just get a general sense of this place's vibe while resisting the urge to go tearing off after the first buck I see. That way, I can get a complete picture of the situation without bumping game and clearing out the area. Antelope country is like, it's pretty flat, so you can lose your sense of how remote and rugged the area might be. Antelope live on the Great Plains. They're a creature of the plains. The vast majority of antelope can't jump a fence. They did not evolve somewhere where they had to jump over trees and jump over down logs. They're an animal of the open. You always hear that the two fastest land animals, antelope and cheetah. In a sprint, sure, the cheetah's gonna smoke the antelope. But in a long distance run, antelope's gonna smoke the cheetah. They can keep high speeds up. They can go 30, 35 miles an hour and hold it for hours if they need to. And they have top speeds much higher than that. They can hold that kind of run. Antelope are at once easy to find and hard to find. Easy to find because they have that white flank. The other thing is, an antelope will puff out the hair on its rump. And when it puffs out the hair on its rump, that rump turns white. And that really gets the attention of the other ones. When you see one do that, it's almost done. He's gonna book. Not a happy antelope. When I say they're hard to find, it's because the landscape that they're in, one in which they never even had to learn to jump, is deceptively flat because there are so many folds and there's so much texture, like corduroy texture to it, that you can look and look and look in a place like this and be like, okay, I glassed this place out. But you're looking right over the tops of many antelope that are laying down in these little folds. There are plenty of antelope out here, so I'm not feeling stressed about getting an opportunity. In addition, I'm seeing dozens of cottontails, perhaps more than I've ever seen in one place before. Their populations go in rhythmic cycles from boom to bust. There's no doubt we're at the apex. I can't help myself but want to round a few up. When I'm mixing in a little bit of pot hunting, with a big game hunt, I carry these little 22 rounds called subsonic. They're like half the speed of a normal 22 round, but they sound like an air rifle. They're only going like 750 feet per second. So you can do a little small game hunt now and then without blowing out your area with loud noises. I'm browning the rabbit, and then I'm braising it in beer. With a belly full of rabbit and a landscape stacked with game, I'm feeling good and ready to get after it tomorrow.
I'm traveling down this gully, thinking I'd be keeping a low profile. I just bumped some mule deer out of this bottom, and they carried off a pretty nice antelope buck with them. I mean, this is like, these kind of bottoms are good to travel in typically because you're not skylining yourself all the time. That's just plain bad luck right there.
One thing I like about these washes like this, there's so much stuff always coming out of the banks. Lots of different animals used to be around here that aren't around here anymore. There used to be many other members of the antelope family living here in North America. There were 5 species in the antelope family here on the Great Plains. There's now 1 left. So when you're out antelope hunting and you find these like gravel deposits and stuff and these eroded banks and you find bones, you never really know how far back these sediment layers might be taking you. This is public land, BLM, Bureau of Land Management. A lot of people don't think about it this way, but it's your land. Along with everybody else who's watching, you have as much of a right to be out here as they do. It's a powerful feeling when you think about it the right way. All these animals are running around on your place.
I haven't seen another person out here since leaving the main road, the county road, that have not laid eyes on another person or a truck. There's an antelope blowing at us right now. You can smell him. There's a buck right here. I can smell him and I can hear him. When you put your nose onto an antelope, especially to a buck, it smells like Frito-Lay corn chips, real strong, like your fingers will smell like Frito-Lay chips after you do that.
I'm seeing so many antelope I can afford to wait until I find a mature buck. A reluctance I have about closing the distance on any of these far-off antelope is that you inadvertently bump animals that you didn't know were there. Those antelope then hightail it, usually through the midst of other groups of antelope and often the ones you're actually stalking. And then the whole gang of them head off into the sunset together. Such fears are enough to keep you in one place. Though admittedly, if you wanted to not spook antelope today, you'd pretty much have to stay in your tent.
There's like my hair on my toes. Over at the head, it's a little draw. And there's a nice buck in there, a decent buck in there. What I like about that spot, the land features around there are pretty distinct. And it seems like there's some pretty good avenues of approach. The antelope, I want to get closer to her that way. But I'm starting out by going this way. That fact should give you like a good idea about the roundabout nature of stalking antelope. To get to something a mile away, you might walk 3 miles, you know. These cuts, like here, this big cut coming down like this deep gully. These are great ways to travel if you're doing a stalk, is to get down these gullies. The problem is when you're down, you get loose. You can get disoriented and not really know where you're at. This is like the field of life and death. There's a mule deer drop, which you can say signifies life because he managed to make it through hunting season and then drop his antler. But then here you got something killed a hawk. Big dropping there. That's pretty cool. It's new. It still reeks. It's still soft. See Antelope walking around out these places. I honestly haven't gotten any closer, but they haven't spoken to me yet either. There's a doe where I wasn't expecting the antelope to be right down here. I'm gonna wait until she moves away. Man, I never thought I'd say this, but she's too.
As I crawl to the edge of that spot I've been heading to for hours, I have it in my head what I want to see, right down to the details. Where the animals will be, what the buck will be doing, how far the shot will be, how much time I'll have to make it. In other words, I've made the mistake of having assumptions. And from there, you mix in a little adrenaline and you really start to get stupid.
I think we're not looking at this right. Oh, there they are. Right there. Shoot. That was a bad shot. I don't understand how I can miss that many antelope, but not notice them down in there. Oh, man, why did I screw that up? Right in a little sanctuary too, man. They got the perfect little hideout up here. Bad at hunting.
There are hunting mistakes that I just shouldn't make anymore. I had my mind made up of what I was going to see, and that caused me to look right over the top of a bunch of bedded down antelope less than 100 yards away. I rushed to get a rest and pull the trigger on what I know is a bad shot that I'm ill prepared for. At least I'm glad I wasn't a tad more accurate. A bad hit is a lot worse than a clean miss. The buck walks unscathed, my ego wounded.
I'm walking back. There's an antelope out in front of us on that big high bench. Thankfully, that's not the ones I'm after. There's another group coming up over here with a good buck in it. Rather than skinning this and quartering it in the dark, risking getting the meat dirty and stuff just from rushing it, not being able to see good and everything, I'm gonna take advantage of these trees right over here. Now that I got them gutted, I'm just gonna hang them for the night in that tree so coyotes can't get them. And then come back up tomorrow morning and be able to take my time and do it right. If it wasn't chilly, I wouldn't do it, but honestly, it's almost better to hang them for a while in the cool and let them set up before I start cutting on them. When I was young, we called these inside loins. You know, it's a tenderloin. It's also good to rinse them because when you're gutting, it's easy to spill urine or stomach contents. They're so small on an antelope that they can dry out, so it's better not to freeze it and just to use it quickly. Give them a quick rinse and then let them dry. Throw them on the grill. When you dismantle a carcass, most states require that you leave evidence of sex. Having the head along with you doesn't count. You might be like, well, how am I gonna do that if I'm taking the thing apart? What you wanna do is just take a nut, skin the nut, and leave it hanging, just a clean little nutski, hanging to the meat, like so. So now I can skin the whole thing, pull off the back leg, and I got this testicle here as evidence of sex. One testicle's fine. I can take this other testicle and do high plains oysters. So you've heard of Rocky Mountain oysters. We'll call this a high plains version. Antelope meat is great. It gets a bad rap by a lot of guys. I think that a lot of guys, one, they suck at cooking, or they just don't take care of their stuff. When you're doing meat field care in hot weather, you want to have the best cooler you can afford, and then buy either block ice, or better than blocks to take, gallon milk jugs or 2-liter pop bottles, fill them with water and freeze it. Then have the ice on the bottom and lay the meat on top of the ice, not in the water, but laying on those blocks or laying on those jugs. They will get cold. Now my thing's cold. I got 3 whole nice blocks in the bottom. My meat is not touching water. I'm gonna close this lid and then not open that lid again. Antelope is very lean meat, so I add a lot of oil or butter to it when I'm cooking it, especially grilling it, because you can just dry it right out. I do the same thing if I'm grilling at home. This is no different. I might not use some pine needles for a brush, but other than that, pretty much around the money. Lay that down on there. Start grilling him. First time I ever ate wild game nuts was on a hunt for antelope, and we had a whole bunch of them. And we made a dish that we named hot buttered buck nuts. What it is buck nuts cooked in butter, and then you add a little hot sauce to them in the end. So I'm just gonna let him cook a while. The best way to describe game nuts is that it tastes like grilled octopus combined with bacon. Hot buttered buck nuts, great little appetizers. You know, it's unfortunate that antelope meat has a bad rap in some circles. If you don't like antelope meat, you don't like meat, or there's something wrong with you, or I don't know what. It is phenomenal. And
If you think it tastes gamey, you've grown up eating the wrong stuff. And you're just not used to what animals taste like. It's just good.